Comics the Magazine is the powerhouse periodical you need to have. From creator interviews to insightful articles, Comics delivers the best parts of the fandom each and every issue. It has an exclamation point in its name for a reason. So what are you waiting for? Get to your local comic shop and pick up the latest issue and check out comicsthemagazine.com for more information. Comics the Magazine is what the fans are reading. Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Stepping around social landmines and dodge depression with self-medication. I'm dying to surrender.
Welcome to a very special edition of Fanlight Zone Presents. My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also the editor-in-chief here at FLZ. To my left, you're right at home. He's one of our featured comic editors and the host of 607 TWS, The Wrestling Show. Please give a warm welcome to Rich.
As always, happy to be here. And no, I promise I will not fanboy out. Or maybe I will. Who knows? Well, we'll find out. We got some time here.
We definitely have some time because coming out this September is a book that is 50 years in the making, because a comic design of a costume is now finally getting a grand entrance into one of comics' most electric universes, the Spawn universe. And who better to bring it in than the creator of the amazing world that is Al Simmons, and that we see transcend out of comics into pop culture, because obviously his pedigree speaks volumes, from being an Emmy and Grammy Award winner, changing the way we look at characters like Spider-Man and the Hulk, and revolutionized how independent comics are done, because he is the walking definition of you bet on yourself, you will win. Because in 1992, him and 6 other creators left and formed Image Comics, and to this day set the standard for what independent comics is all about. He's changed the way we looked at toys. Pop culture is literally him, folks. And we are so excited to talk to him about this brand new project that is Spawn 77. It is our honor and privilege to welcome the one and only Todd Mcfarlane to Fanlight Zone Presents. Todd, what is going on?
Are we short on time after that long introduction? do we only have two minutes left now in the show? Come on, man. You can start it. Just go. Here's Todd. He's kind of cool at times, mediocre at others. Let's go. Boom.
His version was the abbreviated version. That's why we didn't list off all. We'd be here still like we'd all be taking a nap if we listed off all the accomplishments, though.
Yeah. I guess the problem is when you had a long career, then you keep adding sort of mile markers, like running a marathon. All of a sudden you go, oh man, there's a 26th mile we got to talk about, and the 27th mile, and the 28th mile. How you guys doing today? Good.
We are fantastic.
Fantastic.
We are fantastic and super excited about this book coming out, Spawn 77. So the first question we got for you is, how soon did you come up with the idea about bringing this version of the character into the Spawn universe? Was this part of the plan all along?
No. No. Actually, it's sort of here because of Mark Spears and him being an excitable geek like the rest of us. He had seen some of the original drawings. Again, the Spawn character I created when I was 16, when I was just starting to collect comic books. So, and I actually did like a 40-page comic book that I never really finished. I have all the pages. I keep sort of threatening that I'll finish it up maybe like as part of the Spawn 400 celebration. Have 16-year-old Todd, the penciler, and old man Logan, 60-year-old Todd inking them, right? It'd be like this cool multi-generational sort of time warp. But I think I was on like a interview, I forget with who or whatever, and this interview is on YouTube someplace. Anyways, Mark was there as part of it, and he said, hey, we should do something with that Spawn character design you had from 1977, right? And it was like, yeah, okay, cool. And he goes, I got some ideas. Okay, come out with an idea. And I sort of thought he might have forgotten or just was saying it because we happened to be on the same interview. But lo and behold, he kept coming back and he kept peppering me with ideas. And when he saw that I was like maybe slowing down on the idea, he was like, here's some visuals. And he painted some characters. And then pretty soon he became relentless. And I kind of admire that, because I can be like that. So we just had conversations together and said, okay, here's the rules. Here's what it can be, and here's what it can't be, right? And what it can't be, to me, were the bigger issues. It can't be Al Simmons because he's coming in 15 years. and it can't really be like an official true like Hellspawn, because that means that they come every 15 years from, given if we're going to go chronological, 1977 all the way to 1992. So if we can come up with something interesting that basically doesn't trip over those two comments, then let's go. Right. Yeah. And he kept throwing stuff at me. We kept going back and forth, and we've got a story. He painted the heck out of it. I mean, the first issue is 52 pages long. Right. I mean, it's a beefy intro into this world. And it's not like you got to wait till issue 3 to get there. Like it's 3 issues, but they're all going to be beefy issues. And then we'll see if anybody wants us to do more after that.
I'm sure they're going to want you to do more after that, especially with hearing how it came about. But now that we know how it came about, what is the actual, I always like to say the elevator pitch for the actual story. However, some people go a little longer and some will go a little shorter. So I'm like, pretend whatever elevator you're on. If you want to go longer, go ahead. You can be on the Empire State Building. If not, you go as short as you want. But what is the elevator pitch for Spawn 77?
There's 2. One, if you're not a Spawn fan and or don't like sort of classic pure superhero stuff, I think you can take a curious look at this. Number 1, because Mark's art is so different. Part of the sell is delivering different sort of feels to the genre of Americana superhero comic book. So, and if you're a Mark Spears fan, cool, that's there. But on the story front, a little bit of, there was a movie that was called The Man Who Knew Too Much, right? And that it's a good headline, because again, there is no Al Simmons Spawn yet, the OG, what we would consider to be the OG. He hasn't come yet, right? So it's more of playing off the mythology from the past, like prior to him. And again, Hellspawns have been coming. And if you know the mythology in my comic book, they've been coming like for thousands of years, but there's big gaps in there. So what does somebody who knows that mythology, who trips over that myth and gets inspired by it, what does that mean for their life? And a little bit of be careful what you wish for once you actually think you know what the answer is to that question. So it's so a little bit of Guy Ritchie. It just sort of goes from a Guy Ritchie movie goes from bad to worse. That you think like, oh man, let's just do this, and it doesn't. It's not quite as easy as you think.
The art alone is enough to sell it, because with Mark he's doing the interiors for this. We all know him, they do fantastic covers, but doing the interiors, I would say for him to take this step in there, do you how is this the perfect combination? Because the preview art that we've seen alone, this is just phenomenal work.
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime you have a favorite artist, especially if they've begun to limit themselves to covers, you go, oh man, I wish I could see more of it, right? I mean, I there's probably 25 cover artists out there I wish would do a 10-issue run on some book, but and Mark's done some of the artwork, interior artwork on his own books and things like that. So I think what makes him the right guy at the right place is, again, going back to what I said before, I didn't want to do another miniseries that looked like the regular book, right? And maybe that's wrong, and maybe people will go, Todd, if people like it, just feed them more of the same. But I think I've got plenty of that look between the Gunslinger and King Spawn and Scorch, and that, there's no lack of sort of classic superhero looking comic books that we put out. What I get a little bit excited about when we do some of the miniseries is coming up with ideas and or looks, and that's on the art side, that are different, because my brain says there may be somebody out there who goes, I don't really like Spawn per se. I don't like the superhero genre. I don't like whatever, but I go, oh yeah, well look over there. Mark Spears does sort of a cinematic. It almost feels like a movie, the way he sort of paints. It doesn't look like a classic superhero comic book that you would have bought when you were 15, 25, 35. So if you're looking for something a little more sophisticated, then I think you should take a curious look at it to see if there might be something there that you otherwise would sort of poo-poo because it's got the word Spawn in it.
Yeah, and I like that you said that because it kind of ties into my next question about the creative process. But we've had the privilege to talk to other people who write books for you and in the Spawn universe, including Matthew Rosenberg and Thomas Healy. And the one thing that has always come up is that you are always pushing people to do their own creative thing. That you don't want everything to look the exact same in the Spawn universe. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. That is kind of what makes that super fresh. So having Mark Spears on, who is not only doing the art, but is also co-writing with you. How has that creative process been, kind of pushing this in a different direction and making it a lot different?
Well, so let's just talk about the big piece. Like, absolutely. The thing that irritates me the most is when I hire people and they're basically doing Todd Light. Because at some point I'm like, well, I could do it, right? If you want to do like Todd Light, Todd would just do it. Right? Yeah. So what I keep trying to say out loud and encourage people, both artistically and story-wise and writing-wise, is that I've been at this now for over 30 years, creating this mythology. And if you consider the mythology to basically be a blank canvas that is in front of me, that like the size of this screen right here, right? In 30 years, I think I've only painted like here. I think all of this is still unpainted, right? I think there's lots and lots of exploration and ideas and cool stuff that I haven't even begun for a couple of reasons, because I'm only at it for 30 years and I might not be smart enough to do it, right? So I need to bring people in. My frustration is when I'm encouraging people to like paint here is that they actually go over my own paint strokes. Right. And it's like, I've already painted in this corner up here. This corner's already painted. Let's finish the canvas. Right. Come on, man. So I think there's plenty of room for somebody to come along, creative people, and do their own thing on Spawn and make me look like an idiot and a fool. Right. It would be a great day for me. I've said it over and over and over, and I don't say it humbly. It's true that if the whole audience shifted and said, whoever I have, Ken and Rich take over the book, they go, why didn't you bring on Ken and Rich 10 years ago? What they're doing is awesome, and it's twice as good, 10 times as good as what you were doing, Todd. Why did you delay this for so long? That would actually be a good day for me, right? To hear that. And I'm encouraging creative people to do that. Here's the problem at times. I cast a big shadow. And even though they hear those words, I don't know that matter of fact, I know sometimes they don't think that I mean it. And so they're just going, well, we don't want to offend Todd, and we don't want to, sort of do something that isn't quite in what he's been done. And oh, by the way, we grew up on it. So we have in our head what we think is Spawn. And it's like, da-da-da-da-da. But I guess to me, it was the same thing I did. And I'm not saying it was better or worse. But it was different. When I took over the writing on Spider-Man, and I was a rookie. I didn't know how to write it, whatever else. But I did know one thing. In that first story where I was going to bring in the lizard, I was not going to write the same fucking lizard story I had read 12 different times, right? Stan Lee did it. And then Roy Thomas came in. Next time he did it, he was paying homage to Stan. And then Len Wein comes in. He pays homage to Roy. And then Jerry Conway comes in. And everybody's just basically doing what the previous guy did. But it all kind of trickles back up to Stan. And I've constantly said, I believe if Stan Lee wrote The Amazing Spider-Man for 30 years, pretty much like I did on Spawn, he would have made changes. Just to, if nothing else, to entertain himself. It's hard for me to imagine that any creative person would go, I'm going to be on this book for 30 years and I'm going to regurgitate the same stuff over and over and over. So when I took Lizard, I went, he looks like a monster. Why are we treating him with a guy with a lisp, right? Like, I'll get you, Spider-Man, if it's the last thing I do. What are you talking about? I don't want to see a monster with a lisp, right? Yeah. I just want to see a monster. And so I wrote that story. Now, again, I'm not saying it was better or worse than any story prior to that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that for those of you that are like me, that have gone, I've seen this story before. Oh, Todd's doing something different. I'll let the individual then decide whether the different was better or worse. That's their call, not mine. that's all I'm encouraging on the Spawn comic books all the time to all the creative people. Let's do something different, because sometimes you do something different, it does turn out better, but we don't know unless we try it. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And that's a true testament to you, though, because there is a lot of creators who might not have that same philosophy. And I think that because you do, it actually breathes way more life into Spawn, which is, I've been a Spawn fan for, most of my life, because, I was 9 years old when the first issue of Spawn came out, and I didn't have that first issue. I didn't get into it until a couple years later. But once I got into that universe, I've been into it the whole time. And it's one of those universes, not just because I'm talking to you, but it's one of those universes that it always seems to change with the times, and you never feel like you're getting bogged down by the same story over and over.
If I had one self-criticism, those changes probably could have come at a faster pace, right? I mean, because they're interesting. Sometimes I take 100 or 200 issues to, like, I killed Malbolgia, I just brought him back. So he killed him in 300 and I just resurrected him in 375. That's 270 issues later, right? So maybe a couple of fans might have grown up and left and died along the way. Who knows? So I could have maybe made that sort of more of a spectacular return if I'd done it maybe 100 issues later. So I don't know. So I'm really slow on the uptake. It took me essentially 300 issues to start expanding the universe, right? When I did it with what I call the time rip in 301. And I could have done it, I guess, at 150, because I had planted Spawn in the mythology of it, but I don't know. So if anything, I probably stretched way too much, which is why I'm hoping, bringing on some other creative people, they'll maybe accelerate the change and let the audience see whether they like it or not. You also said that, it's a good thing because maybe not a lot of creative people do. I maybe wouldn't be nearly as forgiving or encouraging if I was up to issue 8 and I brought on a writer, right? I'm up to issue 3. I'm up to issue 370. We've been at it for over 30 years. Come on, guys. Like everything I needed to get out of my system is gotten out of the system. So it's not like, it's like, oh man, like I wanted to do that before you, or you're breaking the rules. I've constantly been breaking the rules. I found a YouTube. I need to find it again. Some the guy did. And I should know because I wrote almost all of it. Was like, is Spawn the most powerful character ever created? And he went through all the different powers that I guess I've exposed in the 300 plus issues, and I'd forgotten some of them. And I was like, oh man, that's right. I remember that issue now that he dropped. And like, oh man, yeah. He does have these 50 things. So sometimes I encourage some of the writers to go, you should find that and pick a couple of them that haven't been sort of very common and bring it into a story and make it like kind of a cool thing, right? And show people what Spawn has sort of shown flashes of, instead of it always just being sort of the cape and the chains. But anyways, that's me.
No, but it's definitely something that fans should, or creators should take note of, because that's what really fans want to see, is something different, something new, and something fresh. And right now, the line is the example of that, whether it's She Spawn, The Scorched, King Spawn, everything right now. Bloodletter, I got to shout that series out. I love that series. Like those characters are really gravitating to push the envelope and get something new out of the audience too. And especially if you're a younger creator, it's something that, you can aspire to really kind of push your own craft with.
Well, the thing is, I sort of see the comic books as being like the movie business. You have G, PG, PG-13, R, and then NC-17, right? Mm. I don't really care. Like, and I think we've done different comic books now over the last, especially the last 5, 6, 7 years, that fall into one of those categories, right? Yep. So again, and the little goofy ones we do called Spawn Kills Everyone. Again, you don't like superheroes, you don't like, people punch each other. Oh, here's this little goofy chibi baby over here. That might be for somebody else. Okay. I've always sort of called it like this creative buffet that you just put all of your flavors, all your stories, all your ideas out, and then just let the consumer, the fan, come along with their tray and their plate and put on it what makes sense for them, what they like, what they think would be a good read or taste good to them. You don't have to, when you go to the buffet, you don't have to sample everything. You sample the stuff that either is intriguing or you already know you like. Done, out. So I don't expect anybody to be a completist, but I do think it's still my job to give them options instead of repeat the same things that I've got plenty of issues of.
Yeah, and fans can't ask for more than that. Going back to 1977 about this, with the character design, what was the biggest influence for you growing up in making that character?
Yeah, so I create Spawn right at almost the beginning, within probably 3 or 4 months of me collecting comic books in a serious way, and then I become an addict after that, because I was trying to draw like, you know, Captain America, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, but then I was like, hey, maybe I can draw some characters and come up with my own goofy ones. And I did a bunch of them. Although my favorite was this character called Spawn when I was 16, that I did a 40-page story for. If you look at it, the inspirations are really, I think, kind of obvious. I looked and read all the comic books. Remember, so this is 1977. So if I'm looking at some older issues, I'm looking at like mid 60s, maybe even like some of the old DC stuff that was like from the late 50s. If I found some old books or something at a swap meet or whatever. So if you look at the costume was pretty generic, classic, I would call it, right? Glove, boot, because that's Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, whatever. Everybody, I guess Superman doesn't have gloves, but they got boots, belt, got to have a belt.
Yep.
Right. He's got his belt. Most of the superheroes have a emblem on their chest, right? Spawn, I don't think most people paid attention. It was always an M on his chest, right? That if you take the mark and take it on the back and you put the two together, then you can get like a W, which is sort of, he came back for Wanda. And then by coincidence, when Alan Moore wrote the story and brought in Malbolgia, I go, oh man, he starts with an M too. This is perfect. This becomes the brand now of the devil, right? So it all kind of got serendipitous in the way that it worked out. But a lot of superheroes had capes, right? Shit, give them a cape, belt, capes, gloves, hat. Oh, and then there was a handful of them that had full masks, right? I mean, they all have masks, minus Superman, but they all had masks. And it's like, okay, I'll just put a full mask on them, all sort of Spidey and a couple other people. Cool, that was it. And so by the time I took them out of my portfolio in 1992, fast forward now from 77 to 92, when Image started, he kind of was outdated because everything looked kind of cool and hip because the Uncanny X-Men and the X-Men was sort of the vibe at that point, and everything was about pouches and stuff like that. So I go, well, I guess I better add a couple pouches to his leg. And then I went, he just doesn't look badass. And that's where like then the spikes and the chains and instead of having the belt and the buckle, it was like a skull. And then even these things that were like just flat, those became skulls. Like again, skulls and spikes and chains. I said it before. I know Donnie Cates sort of picked up on it. It's like, who doesn't like spikes and chains? Come on, man. What kid doesn't like skulls and spikes and chains? Like, you can put that on a car, a bike, a motorcycle, on your front door. And like, and for me, I would have gone, oh man, somebody cool owns that, right? I would have been in on it. So that was it. So it not really mature stuff. It was just like, take the old stuff and put a little bit of cool stuff, according to Todd, and cross your fingers and hope it works.
That's awesome.
Definitely did.
That's awesome. It did. Speaking of which, from your initial conception all the way to now, we're nearly at 50 years of you having the idea of Spawn. Obviously, is super personal to you. I just have to know.
Next year, to your point, next year
is next year. Yeah,
is the 50th year.
Yep.
It'll be the 50th year of the creation of it, but also be the 35th year of the existence of Spawn and Image.
Yeah.
Right? So there was talk about, do we hold it for next year because there'd be like some big events, but I'd already been delaying Mark long, and I didn't think it would be fair to go, hey, if you only wait 7 more months. So, yeah.
7 more months is all. But I have to ask you, with being as personal as this, if you could go back, what would you say to the 16-year-old version of yourself to be like, hey, you don't understand how big this idea is actually going to be? Or how would you feel back then?
Well, it would be advice that oddly he already took, which was, don't throw that idea away. Like, I promise you, kid, like this is a good idea. Like just don't, because I had like 50 others, and I was like, maybe they're not quite as good. And I sort of forgot most of them and threw a couple of those designs in the waste paper basket. I would have just gone, I look me in the eye. I'm telling you, this is going to work. Even without that 16-year-old kid did it anyways. He just went. I never forgot Spawn for one day when I was working at either Marvel or DC. I've said before, and I said it many times when we first started Image. I didn't think that the atmosphere and the business model and the way they were conducting business encouraged me to take my ideas out of my portfolio and hand them over to them. Right. So would I take one of their characters that already existed and try and revamp them a la like I did with Lizard, or to some degree, even Spider-Man? Yes, of course. That was my job. If somebody said, hey, we got to come up with some new villain or whatever, would we do it? Yeah. One of them turns out to be Venom. Okay, cool. That was my job. But what I wouldn't do is take stuff that I'd already created and give it to them. Right. I know Rob Liefeld had like 1 million characters and he gave a bunch. But I just go, I'm not as prolific as Rob. So I've got to hold on to this. And I knew as we were sort of heading to a sort of a divorce a little bit at Marvel, that if we could start a new book. And again, I talked to Eric Larson and Rob Liefeld because there was no Image at that point. We were just sort of wishful thinking, but we were talking about all of our different ideas. It was always Spawn. There was never a doubt in my mind that it was going to be that guy for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I mean, look where it's taken now. That you think about the evolution of comics too. You are going to be taking part of the Whatnot show this coming week. And how has that been for you as a creator? Like, do you ever think that, the digital aspect of the comics would be taken off as big as it is now?
Well, obviously there was no internet when I broke in, and I honestly believe that was advantageous to me, because when I look at and if you guys go to shows, you see it, the skill set of talent that's out there right now is staggeringly good. I mean, it is staggeringly good. The point of entry is so high now, right? To even get in, forget get noticed, just to get in, right? Yeah. I was lucky that pre-internet, like you could be about this good and they'd give you a chance, right? As long as you can meet deadlines, they give you a chance. That's no longer there. You have to be here in terms of skill, and you have to deliver on your deadlines too. So I was able to sort of break in at a time that sort of worked for me. But let me also sort of back up too. One of the things that I was adamant about when Spawn #1 came out, and we the Image group, we were thinking about what book we were putting out, was that I was going to start this book called Spawn. And two things were going to happen at that point. I made sort of a promise to myself. One, I was never going to renumber it. I mean, it was just going to go, right? And two, it would always have the Image eye on it. And the reason that one was so important to me, because even if Image failed, and we didn't know it was going to succeed when we first started, even if it failed and all my partners left, I still could say Image survives because I was never going to take the eye off Spawn. Even if it was just one book. And so luckily, both of those sort of ideas not only kept going. I mean, we're now up to issue 377 of Spawn, but Image puts out 60, 70 books. And I say with sort of a smile on my face that all the original founders can all get hit by a bus tomorrow, and Image Comics will still thrive. That's the success story, is that you don't need us old guys anymore. It works, and there's constantly been reminders of the new creative people that keep coming along, that keep basically going, oh man, here's something cool and new that everybody likes. Oh man, here's something cool and new, right? Like there's a new Walking Dead that's going to be around in 10 years. We just, as we sit here, don't know because somebody hasn't printed it yet, right? But somebody will come along and go, hey, I got this sort of silly idea, maybe I'll try it. And every now and then lightning strikes and it goes. So yeah, I get a kick out of all of it, right? And I never, like, even with Spawn 77, the comic book here that we've got, I never sort of said, hey, there's my design, we got to keep it. There's the story, we got to keep it. There's this, we got to keep it. Going back to what we talked about before, it was pull whatever thread you need to come up with a cool sort of creative idea and go. I constantly plant ideas in my books without knowing the answer. I sort of oddly pose questions. I'll give you one. We've got the clown. I've said before to writers, like, where does clown go at night?
Yeah.
I've never written a story. I don't even know what the answer is because I haven't written it. But why is there nobody curious about that? Like there's lots of those odd questions. But anyways, the clown, we now found out in The Gunslinger's got a daughter. Her name's Dakota. And I've had the clown say recently, the daughter is basically fighting against dad. And the clown says, oh, how your mother would be disappointed in you. Now, here's the question. Who's the mother? As you and I sit here right now, I have no idea. It just was a line because, one, there's a kid, so there must be sort of a mom and a dad.
Right.
Okay. So we know who the dad is. Do we know who the mom is? I don't. And I'm the guy who created both of those characters, and I threw that crazy line out there. What I'm hoping for is somebody way smarter and more creative than me goes, Todd, who's the mom? I don't know. Oh, because I got this idea. Okay, what's the idea? If it's cool, let's go. Right? I've got dozens and dozens of these things scattered throughout the 30 years of Spawn that I could go there. Read that line, read that line, read that line, read that line. I think they're cool lines. What's the answer? Do not know. That's where you smart people come in.
And that's incredible because, once again, he's still keeping everything fresh, is keeping more things coming in the pipeline just because somebody eventually is going to that. Maybe somebody hears this and then we're thinking about it and goes, oh, wait a minute. I have that interesting story.
Rich, if nothing else, I had to do it for myself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had to plant seeds along the way. I was just being Hansel and Gretel, just putting the breadcrumbs behind me. I had to have something. So if I just got sort of bored and I'm still doing, I could go back and go, oh yeah, that's right. I remember I said that, or that character came in and did that. Oh yeah. Oh, boom. I know what my next 3 issues are going to be. Right. Just to give me a little bit of a boost in case I didn't have a sort of particularly interesting idea that day. I go, no, just have your crib notes sort of sitting there in the back. And after, I think what's happening is because what gets tough is you can't expect somebody to go, hey, go read the last 370 issues and pull out. What I should have been doing is documenting all those little threads and going, there. Here it is. Here, just give you the page. Here's the 20 threads I think you should pull on. I don't care which one. Go ahead. Any of those interesting to you. So same thing I do with cover artists. I just go, hey, here's 50 characters, 60 characters. I give them like a visual image of 50, 60 characters. Whatever one you think is cool and you want to paint or draw, like whatever it takes to say for you to say yes, you'll do a cover. I don't care. You want to do Cygor and do a gorilla? Knock yourself out. I bet you'd be a cool gorilla. Right. So I don't need you to sit there and go, oh, I got to do another Spawn on top of a building with him hunched over. Like I've got plenty of those covers. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And since you touched on it a little bit there, being one of the pioneers of what we now have as far as like the industry standard now for independent comics, and obviously being somebody who without you we wouldn't have this atmosphere because there would have been no Image, and without that there's a lot of things that we go. And then also on top of that being the gold standard as far as a creator owned character in Spawn, which obviously Guinness Book of World Records most issues. What is your look when I know that you're talking about it finally, but what is your look and outtake right now on the state of the independent comic scene? Like with all these different genres and all these different things going on, what is your take on it?
The goal and the victory is still, and to me has to be that the creative person, the person who comes up with the creative idea, prospers at least half, if not more, of their idea. And so that can come out in many ways. And so let's look at them. You don't have to necessarily create anything new or do an independent comic book, because you can just go to convention, you can get your booth, you can put up your little placard, and you can say, hey, I'm going to do full body drawings for 400 and chest up for 200. I don't care if you get people coming up saying, can you do me the Flash and Spider-Man and Wolverine, whoever the character is, because that creator sitting at his booth is going to reap the benefit of his talent that day. Even though he created arguably no new characters, what he did do is create unique art that day, because that's his art. Now you can move it forward and go, oh, you can do comic books. Okay. On one extreme, I would be the example. You can start your own comic book and you do 370 issues of it. It seems like a crazy thing to do, but okay, it's doable. Why? Because there's an example. You can come up with characters that maybe Hollywood might pay attention to, and they could be giant successes. That's Robert Kirkman with Invincible and Walking Dead. You can start your own little sort of small little imprints, like James Tynion doing these cool sort of horror mystery books. They don't have to be superhero books anymore. Okay, cool. You can even do sort of a scaled down version. What Image was, Ghost Machine. They're essentially doing it again with a little bit of an umbrella over them. Cool, that's good. And then you have people like Rick Remender, who him and Sean Phillips can do like detective books, right? Like true crime boiled books and hardcovers. They're not even doing regular books, and it works, right? And so like what's the biggest smile on my face is that there's so many ways now to try and exploit your own skills for yourself and your family, right? And that's the piece. Like, why should like an outside entity get the majority of your hard work? Why shouldn't your family reap the benefits of your hard work? And so every time something comes along, even something like Dork recently, right? Yeah. You just go, where'd that come from? And it's doing like the reprinting of it is at historic levels never seen before at Image. And we're over almost 35 years old. So for people who go, well, Todd, it was a different time when you did it and you and the original Image. I get that. You don't want to go back that far because the world has changed. But there are these constant mile markers that are like, and here we go. Here's Brian K. Vaughan and Saga. And then here we go. And here we go. And now, in the last 5 seconds, it was Dork. So why won't there be another one in 3 years? The answer is there will be. But the people that are going to benefit the most of it are those that don't talk themselves out of the idea. It's those that go, even if it's delusional, I don't care. I've been delusional way too many times in my life. Is to just go, yeah, I'll do it. I wish I could give a shirt to everybody to some extent, and the shirt just says, why not me?
Yeah.
Why not? Right. So, but their personalities, and everybody isn't quite as reckless or confident as other people who have different personalities. Right. And so I've got too little chemical of fear in me and too much delusion, right? Something got sort of tilted that it's like I like my wife always said, oh man, to die and be born is you, Todd, because you like yourself way too much, right? So it's, first off, I'm stuck with me. So like all of us, we should probably learn to live with ourselves. But it's like, I don't know, why not? Why, like, what's the worst that happens? You try it and it doesn't work. That's the worst that happens. You tried it and it doesn't work. You're no worse off for the effort of trying. But what if you take that half court shot with the blindfold? Every now and then one goes in. I'm telling you, you get enough people to take a half court blind shot, a couple go in, or one person blind takes enough shots, eventually one goes in. And you only need one or two. Ask Robert Kirkman how his life's doing with the Walking Dead and Invincible. He didn't even need Invincible. He did it Walking Dead. I got Spawn. I've got a gobs of other characters surrounding him, but one good idea that worked, you can lead a good life, right? And part of it is guys, is that I know how good the life is in terms of you don't have to worry about paying the bill. You don't have to worry about clipping coupons. You don't have to worry about whether you can put your kids through college. You don't have to worry about all those other things that I know so many talented people and regular people have to go through, that it gets taken care of because you get a little bit of success on something that you enjoy doing and you get these financial rewards. And now you don't have to worry about that piece that can lead to so many breakups of relationships, finances, right? So I don't know. I just like, oh man, I wish I could just sprinkle pixie dust on everybody and just go, come on, man, that crazy idea you have in your head, try it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like we got one life. You got to just, take the shot or just, live with regret. And you can't do that. And, it's seeing now, and especially like this day and age with the independent scene, it's like we're seeing more and more people trying to take those shots. And it's inspiring for us as fans to go pick out stuff that, okay, if we're not really into superhero books, there's something else out there. Yeah. You can't walk into a shop and not pick up something and immediately fall in love with it because somebody's pouring their heart and soul into it.
And I would say that the people who've had the success, a guy like Robert Kirkman and Brian K. Vaughan and Brett Bean, myself, have been fortunate. We're still going to have regrets. And the regret is that we've got 1,000 ideas in our head and we're only probably going to get about 20 of them out max before we die. We may go to our grave, oddly, with our best ideas. Like Shakespeare might have taken his best novel to his grave. If he had lived another 30 years, would he have written his best one yet? We don't know. And this is why creative people, I keep saying, are neurotic, because we have all these things spinning in our head and we just know that time is our enemy and we are never going to get even a fraction of what's spinning in our heads out. And it drives us crazy, which is why we're a bit of a neurotic. But that neuroses also is the pro to why we're creative people, right? Just like it has to be there. We have to be just a little bit off because we're constantly spinning worlds and characters and people and dialogue and visuals in our head, and we can't turn them off, right? You don't turn it off. So I don't know. Here we go. It's I keep saying I'm in my mid 60s. I'm going to 100 for sure. So I'm only halfway through. Like if that's true, Spawn's 35 years old. He's only at the halfway mark before I die. And then hopefully like good characters, the characters outlive me. But in terms of me being able to guide the characters and stuff and pick and choose who I want to be the people guiding it, shoot, man, I'm only at the halfway of the marathon. I'm only at mile 13, guys. There's still a lot of race still to go.
There we go.
Absolutely. No question about that. And more years to come, like bring it on. That's what I say.
Right.
Your work
but 25-year-olds, at 25 at some point, fuck the 80-year-old Todd someday. Like 25-year-old Todd would never put up with an 80-year-old going, are you out of your, get out of the way, old man. Here we go. Like, come on, man. Why? If there's one curious piece, it's how relevant Jim Lee, Frank Miller, Rod Liefeld, myself, we're still relevant. we're old like this in music, in music and athletics and in TV and celebrity. Like I get it. Everybody gets a good run. But eventually there's a bell curve, right? I don't know. Maybe Mick Jagger be playing music till he's 80. Who knows? So there are, I guess, a couple of unicorns out there. But for the most part, you're in your 20s, you get a good run, you catch a couple of lucky breaks, you get a 10-year, 15-year, and then the next generation comes along, and the next, and the next, and the next. Come on, you don't want us old guys being the one. We should just be oil paintings in the hall of image someday. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, those are the founders, whatever. So
absolutely fair points. So a couple fun questions before I let you get out of here. So obviously Spawn created in 1977 this version. What was your favorite movie or TV show of that era?
Well, the story took place in space and whatever else, because there's this movie that just come out called Star Wars. And so I go, oh man, everybody's into sci-fi. Star Wars never bit me. I was way more into this day, Planet of the Apes, which people think like there's a big gap. It was only really like 3 or 4 years between the end of the TV show and Star Wars. There's only like a few years in between. But man, if I had to go back then, it was movies like Rosemary's Baby and Wait Until Dark, Gorky's Park, which was sort of this espionage movie, a lot of stuff that wasn't sort of special effects stuff. And then eventually as I got a little bit older, then you're talking about stuff like Jaws and, sort of some of the big sort of blockbusters that came along. But I've said it before, I was never enamored with like the PG-13 action movies. The Seagal and the Stallone and Schwarzenegger, all the S's. Those movies never really did much for me, right? And stuff like Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica. I always wanted gritty, grounded, real stuff, right? So first time I see something like Godfather, right, just blows my mind. So I just want urban stuff. And maybe I was filling myself beginning with 16 all the way up to today. Like I fill 10, 12 hours a day with fantasy. So when I go and watch my entertainment, I unplug from like huge fantasy settings and I just go, I want urban stuff. I want real stuff. And if it doesn't have any special effects, even better. If it's based on a true story, even better. Because I know tomorrow I got to draw aliens and spaceships and ray guns.
Yeah.
So I can't do it. I have plenty of peers that can. I just not built for it. I need to catch my breath on it. So again, I'm also a sports guy, so I can unplug, watch sports too, and then come back tomorrow and go, okay, I got to put in 10 hours of fantasy. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So Spawn has had many amazing crossovers with throughout pop culture, throughout comics, in generalized media. Is there a unicorn? Is there any? Let's just say that there is. Somebody would hand you the rights, didn't matter. Is there anything that you would cross Spawn over with that hasn't been done?
No, I think, and I've talked to a couple people about it, but again, it's just time and effort. And I don't know if I'll ever find it in my life. But I think that if there's one thing that if I could, would be like a Spidey Spawn crossover, the two characters that I'm sort of most known for. Mm-hmm. And then sort of the bad guy then would be like Clown and Venom, right? They would be like the adversaries, and it would be all this stuff that I like drawn. I like the characters, and people who happen to follow my career and like what I've done would go, oh man, that's it. All in one package, all of that in one package. I'm in, right? So that would be it. But other crossing with other brands and stuff. I'm sort of a fan of lots of things. So whatever sort of somebody wants to use their hard-earned equity of their brand and go, hey, we want to put Spawn in. I mean, look at guys, I'm telling you, and there's no lie. When Activision came, when they said, hey, we want to put Spawn in Call of Duty, I didn't say it out loud. Good thing I kept it to myself. I was thinking like, God, I wonder how much I got to give them. Right. and instead they went, but we're doing this new thing. It's not going to be downloadable. We're putting it straight in the game. We're not going to be able to keep track of like why anybody's buying it, how much impact it has. So all we can do is just give you this big check with lots of zeros on it. That's I was like, and it had more zeros than I thought. Right. And I went, oh man. So I just want to get this straight. the big video game, you guys been a decade plus making it global. You want to put my guy in there and I get to cash this. This isn't going to bounce. Shit, dude, this is it. This is going back to what I was saying earlier about the creative people getting the fruits of their labor, right? Mm-hmm. That instance would never occur if by doing something at Marvel and DC. I mean, maybe over time, a guy like Scott Snyder might get a bunch of royalty checks for what he's doing on the Absolute Batman. That's okay. That's cool. Good for him. He's doing it, but he's never going to get the big check for something Batman because he doesn't own Batman. I said before, I was talking to Donnie Cates and he was wanting me to do a cover. And he's like, come on, Todd, man, I'm on my 50th issue. And it's like, I'm sort of proud of it and whatever. It'd be really cool if you did a cover. And I go, well, Donnie, I'm president of Image. I don't do anything for Marvel and DC unless there's an Image logo on it. So, okay. I go, but Donnie, here's the thing. You did 50 issues of Venom. And I go, you walk into a room. Let's go into Hollywood. You walk in a room and you tell them that you wrote 50 issues of Venom. I walk into that same room, same guy, right next to you, and I go, I co-created Venom, and I created the visual look of Venom. Who do you think gets more credit? And here's the answer, Donnie. Neither of us, because we don't got fucking nothing to sell. Neither of us. Maybe we each got something to brag about, and we got something to say at a cocktail party, but that's it. And we get a little bit of royalties. Okay, that's it, right? That executive is going to go, why are you in my room? Yeah. I buy stuff. What do you got to sell me? And the answer is, we got to go create some stuff for ourselves to be able to sell in that moment. It doesn't matter if we did 300 issues of Venom and I did the coolest cover for it. Like, it doesn't, in the end, I'm better off doing a cover for myself that I can exploit if people like it and maybe turn it into a poster and raise money for charity or whatever. Like, there's 100 good things you can do. Again, I don't do it now for the money. Matter of fact, I don't even need the money. We're going to be shifting a lot of stuff here in the future to charity, that it's like, cool. But if I can now shift my energies, instead of worrying about building my career and worrying about my finances, those are taken care of. My kids are grown. I've got 3 adult children. They're gone out of the house. They're good. And our bills are paid for. So we don't need any more. The creative part still is interesting to me at the top level. But being able to generate more money for my family, I'm not really excited about that. I do 2 shows a year, San Diego and New York. Why? Because I'm sort of over Todd, and I'm like, I'm bored of me. But if what I'm trying to do is come up with ideas to go, man, if I go to 10 spots or 20 spots and I create systems where I can raise money and all that money goes to charity and all that money can help others, I may actually now go to 20 shows on my own, just for me to get my ego stroked. I'm over that. I'm over getting my ego stroked, right? I'm done. I like meeting people, but I'm basically a homebody. I like staying at home and just relaxing with my wife. So, okay, so what's the thing that now gets 65-year-old Todd excited? And the answer right now is like, man, people still care about what I do. They still want me to be relevant. If I work at it, I can be relevant, and I can generate money. Oh, now I can generate money for others who need it way more than I do. Oh, that's a thing. I could do that for maybe 30 years. Okay. That's not bad. And in the meantime, keep all my brands and all the creative stuff going. Cool, right? But you just go through different phases. When 20-year-old Todd was like so hell-bent on just staying in the game. And then at 30, it was like, oh, how do you climb the ladder so that you're like one of the top 10? And then it's like, now that you're in the top 10, how do you stay there? That's that bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. Every musician goes through. How do you stay relevant? Because here comes the new crop that's in there. Okay. You have a little bit of a dip, then you come back up. Okay. And now you go, it's worked for 40 years and whatever. So what gets you out of bed and doing it, creating? But if you create something that people like, the byproduct is money. But it's like, I don't want to be on Whatnot selling something for $20 so I can make another $20. But I hope it'll sell for $25 and I'll hype it if I know all $25 is going to help others. Yeah, I can do that, right? So anyway, so we'll see. That's probably the next sort of marker, and it's more of a personal thing. People won't notice it; they'll just buy whatever creative stuff I have. But that's gonna get me psyched out in the next 20 years, I hope.
That's incredible. Having that thought and knowing that that's what you want to do, and that's and that goes with that bell curve, because then that's where you transcend to doing different things.
Yeah.
Bring up the people that were the new creators. You're helping bring them up, and at the same time you're also helping others, and that is like the coolest thing. Although if somebody from Activision is listening right now, you did not help them out, because if they would have been quiet for just a smidge longer, you would have paid them for them to have spawn in the game instead of them getting all those zeros.
Guys, I've got a good poker face. Right? Right? It goes like this, right?
Just sit there
Yeah,
and think.
and then I'll go, yeah, okay, I'll think about it. When do I need to get back to you? Inside, I'm going, oh my gosh, right? So we're working on another one right now. So he's going to be coming out in another big popular video game too. So and then there's another something coming down in 2027 on the video side. So we got Spawn's going to be poking his head out. Ideally, what's the thing that you would do if I could wave a wand? Just have a Spawn game that works on its own. I don't have to cross over with people. I've got the TV show. I've got the movies. I've got the comic book. We've got the video games. It's just Spawn. Like, if anything, people go, Todd, can my character come across with you?
Yeah.
And I get to pick and choose the other way. So, you know, I've seen what happened, like I said, with Robert Kirkman had the lightning strike twice. With his character, he didn't have to go out there and go, hey, I got to do crossovers with my zombies and my hero. He's got his own world he's playing with, right? I guess arguably with what he's doing with the Transformer world, maybe he's doing it a third time. It's just at the end of the day, I don't know what that business thing is. That's not his, right? Yeah. And I know that it's impossible for me to imagine he would benefit at an equal level that he did with the two ideas that he created himself.
And it all just goes back to with you and Spawn 1977. We're making that design and looking at the journey where it's taking you now. Folks, we can't say enough. You need to make sure you get down to the LCS and put those pre-orders in for this book. You don't want to miss it. Mark Spear's art is amazing. And what him and Todd have coming with the story is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Todd, thank you so much for taking the time out.
Can I brag on a couple of the covers?
By all means.
So Mark's got a cool cover, and then I do this thing sometimes. I just did it with the cover over Art Germ, where it's like I convert their paintings into black and white ink, right? So I'm going to be doing that. It's going to be me inking over a painting and turning it into illustration like it had never been painted before. It's sort of a fun experiment. They're radically different. Even if you did like the Art Germ, here's Todd's inked version illustration, and then here's his painting. If you put those two together, other than the body pose is the same, the final veneer on it, I think there's a big contrast, which is kind of fun. We're gonna do that. One of the covers is going to be the original cover I did when I created Spawn when I was 16.
Oh wow!
Like the original, right? And then the other one is I'm gonna now take that original and I'm gonna ink me over the original and just bring it up a couple more notches because 16-year-old Todd was okay. So there's going to be some fun things, and we're doing a couple where Mark's signing some books and I'm signing some book. I think there's even some where we're going to both sign it. So they're for people who are into the cover scene, and it seems to be a thing. But I think the winner is still the 52 pages on the inside to get you going, but we're going to be having some fun with the covers to hopefully get people curious, and then hopefully they'll open up those covers and read everything that's on the inside.
Yeah, because like you said, the covers are amazing too. Everything about this, it does feel special coming out. Like I say, this feels like a very personal project for you to see, and to have fans now get a part of this. It's nothing but a big bucket of win. So we can't recommend everybody getting down to the LCS to go check it out. The Whatnot stream on July 9th, because if you can't make it to San Diego Comic-Con, there's going to be some fun stuff there. And Todd, we definitely have to catch up with you after the series comes out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys' time. Hopefully you guys end up being the biggest shots in the world and take over the world. And then I'll see if I can do an interview with you guys next time.
Yeah, you have an open
door. You guys be the big shot, and I'm going, oh man, I got Ken and Rich come and shoot. It's like having like Obama and Michelle. Here they come. So
yeah, absolutely. So on behalf of Rich and myself, thank you again for checking out another edition of Fanlight Zone Presents. We'll see you next time.